Hi people, it's me, Anya. My pronouns are she and her, and welcome back to my channel for a new book tag. As per usual, donate to Palestine. So, yeah, I looked at these questions and this tag seemed fun, so I decided to do it even though nobody necessarily tagged me. So, yeah. The first question is, you have 20,000 books on your TBR. How do you choose what to read next? So I don't have a physical TBR, but when I do download a couple of books from my library, I choose what to read next based on what I'm the most excited for, so I try to save the best for last. Now, that doesn't always work, because sometimes books that I'm really excited for end up disappointing me, like an emotion of great delight. So, yeah. The second question is, if you're halfway through a book you're not enjoying, do you DNF or push it through? I DNF. We talked about this in the DNF book tag. I absolutely DNF because I think there's no shame in DNFing a book that you're really just not interested in, and it would be a complete waste of time if I completed a book that I'm really not interested in, especially if I end up giving it a low rating, because then I regret reading the book and it's a complete waste of time. And life is really too short to be reading books that I'm really not interested in. So, yeah, I'm all for DNFing because I think it's really important to do that. So, yeah, reading should not be a waste of time. It should be fun and entertaining and an escapism. You know what I mean? Anyway, the third question is, it's the end of the year and you're so close but so far away on your reading goal. Do you try to catch up and how? So, I don't have a numerical reading goal. I didn't set one this year. I didn't set one last year. My reading goal for this year was to try to read more diversely, which... Imagine it's November of 2021 and I feel like I haven't read as diversely as I really wanted to this year. And what I try to do, or what I would try to do, is honestly probably not try to catch up on it, because I don't want to seem like I'm reading diversely for the sake of reading diversely. You know what I mean? Because that would be so hypocritical to everything that I've said so far, because I feel like you should read diversely because the books are generally good, not just that you can claim the title of being a diverse reader or anything like that. You know what I mean? So anyway, the answer is no. The fourth question is, how do you cope with cover changes in a series that you love? I really don't care. Since I don't buy books, that means that I don't have books that I'm constantly looking at in my background or on my bookshelf or anything like that. So I really don't care if a cover changes in the middle of a book series. I know for this question everybody uses the Divinals as an example, but since I read the Divinals after all the books in this series were out last year, I really didn't care about what the cover looks like. You know what I mean? So anyway, the fifth question is, who do you bond with over shared feelings when everybody loves a book that you disliked? I feel like I don't really do this. You know what I mean? Even though I'm part of the BookTube community and the Book Twitter community, honestly, we don't really talk about books that often. I know that sounds surprising, or maybe it doesn't. If you're on Book Twitter, everybody's there because we're avoiding reading, and we're just tweeting about books that we want to read, but we don't actually read any of them. So, actually, I don't do that because I actually do read, but that's what I see a lot on Book Twitter. Maybe it's not actually true. Anyway, the point is, what was even the question? Who do you bond with over shared feelings when everybody loves a book you disliked? I don't have an answer for this one because of everything I just said. So, the next question is, how do you deal with crying in public when you're reading? First of all, I don't remember the last time that I read in public. I don't mean that as a COVID thing. I mean that in the sense that I just don't remember the last time I read a book in public. And second of all, if I was reading in public, I'd probably be so lost in my book that I really don't care what people think when I'm crying in public. Who cares? You know, so anyway, people stare at me in public anyway because apparently I walk funny. I don't actually walk funny. I'm just disabled and people stare at me because they have nothing better to do and they're ignorant and they don't know that you shouldn't stare at disabled people because that's rude. Anyway, so the answer is that I don't care. So anyway, the next question is, what do you do when a new sequel comes out but you don't remember what happened previously? This happened recently because I started the sequel to Hunted by the Sky and I didn't remember what happened in the first book, and what ended up happening is that I DNF'd the sequel and I moved on. I just moved on. Because basically, for me, if I don't remember what happened in the previous book when I'm reading a new sequel, that is a sign to me that I didn't love the first book as much as I thought I did. So, yeah, typically, if I don't start to remember what happened in the first book when I'm reading the sequel, I just DNF it and move on. Typically, sometimes I try to read online or something about what happened in the first book, but typically I just move on. I got better things to do. There are so many book series out there that I would rather be reading. So, yeah. Anyway, the next question is, how do you politely tell people no when they want to borrow your books? So as a person who doesn't own many books, this typically doesn't happen to me, but I don't know what I would say. I'm not very good at saying no to people, which is a skill that I'm working on. So, I don't know. I would probably just say, no thanks, you can't borrow my books, and here's why. You and I both know that this book is never coming back to me. So, yeah, no thanks. The next question is, how do you get over a reading slump? I take a break from reading. I do writing. I listen to music. I just do something else that distracts me from the reading slump. And also, what causes a reading slump for me is typically an external factor. Like if I'm stressed about like homework, that explains why I haven't been in a reading slump all summer. Anyway, the point is the question is, how do you get over a reading slump? Is that I distract myself from actually reading, and I just try to get back into the mood of reading again, because for me, the definition of a reading slump is when I'm just not in the mood for reading, which doesn't happen very often. I know some people define a reading slump as when you're like hungover from reading, like a book hangover, but for me, it's when I'm not in the mood for reading anything, which doesn't typically happen that often, and like I said, it's typically caused by an external factor, like the mood that I'm in at the current moment, which is like sometimes not a very good mood. You know what I mean? So anyway, I try to get myself back into a better mood so that I can read again. So yeah, that was a very long answer for one question. So anyway, the next question is, there are so many new books coming out. How do you control how many you buy? So this is a recurring theme for this video. I don't buy books, and I keep up with new releases very, very well, because my library always has new releases every single week, which I'm very, very grateful for. And if my library doesn't have it, then I download an EPUB. So I keep up with new releases very, very well, and that's how. So yeah. Anyway, the last question is, after buying these books, I don't buy books, but anyway, I'm just going to read this prompt. After buying these books, how long do they sit on your shelves before you read them? But if I did buy books, I would probably read them immediately, or at least within 24 hours, because, like I said, I'm always in the mood to be reading books. And I'm going to switch this question, because since I don't buy books, since I borrow them instead, and since like there's a limit as to how long I can have a book, typically when I borrow a book from a library, I have 21 days to read it before it returns to the library by itself. And I say by itself because typically I've been borrowing ebooks instead of physical books, just because of A, COVID, and B, it's just so much more convenient. Anyway, the point is, I try to read a book like the minute after I borrow it typically. So again, within 24 hours of getting it. So yeah, that's the end of this book tag. I hope this book tag was kind of insightful for you. I don't know if it actually was, but I hope you enjoy this video. If you want to participate, then consider yourself tagged. If you enjoy this video, like I said before at the beginning of this video, donate to Palestine. And yeah, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Comment down below the sun emoji, because we haven't done that yet. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you in my next video.